Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Nielsen, and Aileen will be joining us in just a little bit, we hope. And welcome to Ames. A lot of familiar faces. Good to have you guys back. A little housekeeping. We've got plenty of snacks and food and coffee over here. Help yourself at any time. We like being really informal. It is kind of a play space. It's not a lecture or a class. Restrooms are out the door, down the hall, in the corner. Our men's and women's restrooms, use those as needed. Welcome to everybody online. Wave to our online people. Woo! And our online people are waving back. Good deal. And we're going to start talking today about balance, because our surprising structures today are all about balancing forces. So if you're nice and comfortable, I'm going to ask you to stand up. So everybody, let's just start by standing up a little bit. Little warm-up activity here. And as we stand, think about your body as a structure. Maybe as a skyscraper or a building or just a physical structure. And think about how you're balancing yourself. And now let's kind of experiment with that balance a little bit. What happens if we all try to stand on one foot? So can we just lift up one leg and stand on one foot? And all of a sudden, what happens? Start to wobble a little bit. Why is that? What? I didn't hear that. Because I'm old. Yeah, I was going to call out to myself that the older I get, the harder this gets. So as we're standing here on one foot, what happens if you take your arms and raise them up?
Harder.
Why is that harder? What do you think? What's happening?
Not even the proportions or something.
Yeah. So there's something called the center of gravity or the center of mass. And what happens is the lower, you can put your foot down. The lower that center of mass is, the easier it is to balance. So let's do the opposite of that. So what we just did is first of all, we narrowed our base by going from 2 feet to 1 foot. And then by putting our arms up, we raised the center of mass, which made it more difficult to balance. So let's do the opposite of that. Let's spread our feet wide apart. And then what happens if you just squat down? That's easier to balance, isn't it? Because we've lowered our center of mass. So a couple of weeks ago, we had the Super Bowl. And if you watch the Super Bowl, on any given play, all the big guys, they come up to the line and they all go like this, right? Wouldn't that be hilarious if this is how they lined up on the football field? But why do they get down like this? They're lowering their center of mass and they're making themselves much more stable. Okay? You ever seen a tightrope walker? And what are they holding? They're holding a bar. Are they holding it over their head? No, because that raises the center of mass. They hold it down low, and if you look really carefully, that bar actually extends way out and it curves down. Why? It lowers the center of mass. So they're kind of cheating, right? It doesn't make it easy. It's still pretty difficult, but that's why they're holding that bar, and that bar bends down to lower the center of mass. So we're going to play around with some of those ideas today. So you can go ahead and have a seat. And let's see, everybody somewhere in your materials, and there's some table boxes that you can grab from or things out of your bag. What if we, in your boxes, is there a little roll of tape like this? If you don't have one of those at home, just find something kind of similar to that. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. We're just getting started. So if you take a roll of tape and you just hold out one finger and set it on top and try to balance the roll of tape on your finger. And oops, mine's shooting across the floor now. Oop. Is that easy to do? Kind of difficult, isn't it? But what if you just hung it on your finger? So what did we just do? We just lowered the center of mass. So when it's above your finger, that center of mass is kind of somewhere in the middle of that ring. And so it's kind of hard to balance, especially because the base is so small. When you do this, now the center of mass is down below your finger, and it balances really easily. Okay, now in your bags, we've got some potatoes. Everybody get a potato, and there should be some small potatoes and some big potatoes. Now, if you really want to eat the potato, do it later. We're gonna play with them first. So, can you try to balance the potato on your finger? Kind of difficult. Maybe kind of think about where is the center of gravity or where is the center of mass on that? Boop. Now my potato has a bruise on it. You got it? All right, we got one potato balancer over here. And maybe your potato has a flat spot, and that makes it a little easier because that's just a matter of widening the base. So if you want to make something real stable, widen the base, lower the center of gravity or lower the center of the mass. Think about the Egyptian pyramids. Why have those things stayed around for so long? The base is huge, and because as it goes up, it diminishes in size, the center of mass on it is really, really low. Even some of the early skyscrapers in New York City, think about the Empire State Building. It actually has a really wide base, but as you go up, the floors kind of keep getting skinnier and skinnier, and it's really like a really big stretched out pyramid. Okay, so now we're gonna play around with the potatoes a bit. All right. Oh, good. Let's see. Want that camera? Want that camera? Yay. Okay. So we're going to start by making some wobbly structures. I think we call these wobbly wonders. So in your bags, you should find a little baggie with some clothespins and some craft sticks, and there's some skewers in there, some little pieces of skewers. And I believe, oh, we got some Legos. We'll play with those later. Ah, there we go. I believe there's a little box of binder clips. And then there should be one really big pencil. So what we need for right now is the pencil, the skewers, the binder clip, and one potato. And then also, we'll need a roll of tape. So those are, yeah, painter's tape. Okay. Hope I can make this visible on this camera. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my pencil. I'm just going to tape it to the edge of the table here. And so what this is going to be our balancing point. Hopefully we can see that pretty clearly. And our objective is going to be to get the potato to balance on the pencil. Now, if we just set it on there, and we can find a balancing point.
Thanks, Claire.
But mostly it kind of wants to roll off a little bit. So what let's do is let's experiment with the skewers. And the skewers can poke really nicely into the potato. And then if we take some binder clips and put on the end of the skewers, so that's going to add some weight or some mass. Now, if I put the potato back onto the pencil, now it's a lot more stable. In fact, I can make it wobble and bounce around a little bit. And it keeps coming back to being stable. Now watch this. If I take that little structure that I've made and turn it over so that the skewers are pointing up, it is now very unstable. So what did we do? Raised the center of mass. And the higher the center of mass is, the more unstable it is. I turn it back down. Now all those binder clips are way down below the potato and have lowered the center of mass. So let's just take a little bit of play time and play with the skewers, and play with the potatoes and binder clips, and see what you can make. There's more than one potato. Maybe try a larger potato. Maybe try a different number of skewers. I know in your bags there were only 3. I've got a whole bunch of extra skewers here. In fact, I'll just maybe put them on this front table. If you want to come get more skewers or longer skewers, and there's nothing sacred about skewers, you can break them and use them however you want. I think there's even a few chopsticks in one of the bags. Maybe try more skewers, less skewers. It's fun just to say the word skewer. What if you, good morning, Aileen. What if you made a double layer potato sculpture? So our first playtime in our play shop is play around with the potatoes and the skewers and balance and see what you can make.
Let me try this one.
And then maybe even you could throw a little artistic flair in there. So what if it's not just potatoes and skewers and binder clips? Could you make your sculpture into something? Maybe it's planets revolving around the potato sun, or maybe it's, I don't know, you use your own imagination. Maybe it's animals going around something in the middle. So there's lots of supplies in your table boxes. There's paper and scissors and tape and markers. So make whatever kind of sculpture you want. Make whatever kind of artistic flair you want. And we'll take about 10 or 15 minutes and we'll just play with this.
You splattered all over me. Did you?
Again, there's lots of skewers up here on the table. If you want some more.
Yeah, we put it on like this.
I'm just gonna mention that online.
Hustle for stop. Bounce.
So as we're playing, each time we do a play shop, we have a page on our Padlet. And if you wanted to use your camera, or you could use that little bit.ly link, we'd love for you to share some pictures of your creations. And all you need to do is on the Padlet, just click a comment under surprising, or click the plus sign under the surprising structures link. Let's see if I can pull that up here real quick.
No, just for now. Oh, that's
Big old stick.
I say, and this is big mistake. Cinnamon. This is cinnamon, like it's. Or like this is. This is.
There we go. So here's what our Padlet looks like. So over on the left-hand side here, it says surprising structures. You just click on that plus sign. And then you can add a lot of different kinds of content. You can just directly access your camera.
Week's your big event, huh?
Or if you've already taken a picture, you can click on this little image search. So you can upload a file directly. You wanted to, that the things that have happened, just share what you're doing. Share what you're creating. There's our first picture right there.
Yeah.
We can add comments, captions to what other people have done.
Yeah, we actually, they use that, right? So, but when you're
That's pretty.
yeah,
I guess if you even wanted to use a bagel, see if you can balance a bagel.
yeah, and I only.
My dog.
He's always like, it's more than last year. That's all that matters.
Well, and I tell her too is that we have more teams. Yeah. That means they are. So I think that's a good sign. That's what we're seeing. So we're seeing each school had at least.
Get started in it.
One school. And I think now they have 3 teams. And so, and it's hard to know where the students work off. I mean, 2 teams or.
Yeah, so we don't know the active members. We can track the adults. But a lot of times teams change their names.
Right.
It's like non-cyclical kind of.
They want to try
Figure out who's, if we're getting a significant number. We must have a thing for a team that never changes their name, right?
But it won't look like a dog
She's
anymore.
been dealing with this.
They don't raise my dog anymore.
That was answered because the learning is, there's no real rules. About things.
Interference.
Right.
Right, that whole interference. And it does, the rule of interference doesn't exist in the rule. We hope that the kids will come with their own ideas and.
Understand.
Yeah, let them experiment. Let their curiosity lead.
The tomato is very hard.
This happened yesterday or the day before
Potato
yesterday.
that I broke.
Really long and all. Dad, he's not even the team manager, but he's one of the.
One nice thing about the potatoes is you can pull the skewers out and the potato kind of heals itself a little bit.
They're.
Yes. So young, but he was put on.
What else?
But it's then turn into that and then tomato.
At least from what he understands.
Whoop.
Already using chat.
Not. Realizing, right, I'm this expression, that's fine, right? But just using it as it is.
And we've got plenty of skewers up here. You can try some longer ones.
And so he was like, we're very.
Try more skewers, fewer skewers. That's fun to say, fewer skewers.
He's like, so there's certain. I think dollars. She gets the program. She goes with second grade. She's seen it with her older sister. Right? And.
Those of you who are online, if you're at home, you're certainly not limited to the skewers.
I do.
Maybe there's something else you could put in the potato, a fork, maybe a knife or something.
Give something to.
Here's some.
Yeah, and those of you in the room, feel free to use anything that's in the table boxes.
And I'm like, I gotta keep this.
Yeah, yes.
And so
Not having a good experience, how
Yeah.
can we?
all day yesterday, I was just in conversation with state challenge master in charge of the early.
Good morning, welcome in, come on in.
He was like, okay, we're gonna do. Whatever we do, keep this team and. Whole family's here. Keep everybody, involved.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. You can make it with just the daughter and the friend, or the daughter and the friend, and the other like-minded thing, go for it. No, nothing, just make them work, we let them work. Right? But they totally want to do it, and so it's like, okay, we're kind of. We're the striping system, right? To get these kids. And all that.
Stay busy, more.
From my love.
Sixty.
You know.
Yeah.
Don't let her.
And so now they come with the random.
The week to go.
Yes, the week to go to volunteer.
We also. That's,
You want to, so we want to make it more.
She was not.
Oh, here's the other job.
Kind of had that.
Last.
I could tell she was like that. She's the only one that went out her check-in, so yeah, she's fine. But, it's like, oh, I mean, it's sweet. You can just help us. Help me.
Yeah.
Them just get you the information that needs to be inserted, and you have an account, so I will work with you.
Can I get it?
I have to know.
I mean, so deep.
Don't leave them make. They don't go with them.
Yeah.
So I'm not as concerned, but it's still against.
This
is kind of. So.
What happens when they're eating?
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Exactly, yeah. Get it. What's up?
He wants this stuff.
Oh my goodness. It's yes, you know. But if you put our hand
I did it, I did it like that.
It's because all of our lists, they can do that. It's kind of hard to.
One come back. With other. Things I never thought about having to deal with.
What if?
Yeah, so things you never think about.
Ahora sí lo puedo hacer.
Sit on it.
Yes.
Oh, pretty good. We're excited about next week. Yeah, he's been practicing a lot.
Put the weight.
Yeah.
That was good, and they were able to get their.
Good idea.
What would you?
So, you think about. Yeah, so it was, kind of related to. We felt really good about it, like really excited and had fun too.
What other places? See the balance. Put them right here or that one?
I don't know, have one for
Put
two.
it right here. No, it's kind of hard. Oh, you're very strong.
Thank you.
Closer. There we go.
It's kind of hard. It would be enough.
Yeah.
What do you think? Think that might help us?
Ah, potato down.
That's round.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on what. See it balance. That's good too. Look at my potato. I start.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to do something different? You want to see how much you can balance? Honestly. You know, when I see these, I get hungry. We're gonna skewer meat on there. We're gonna.
Santiago, do you want to get?
No.
Careful, yeah. Be careful with going.
Wait, Scott, could you throw up the QR code again?
Yeah.
Like to post some things.
Yep.
Where do you think if we put this potato here, where can we stick it on this potato and make it balance? Ooh, okay. Over here? Should we put another potato? Where should we put? Where should we put that potato?
There we go. There's the QR again for the Padlet. If you'd like to share some pictures there. How we doing? We got lots of cool stuff being made in the room. Wow, look at these. Those are crazy. I should have looked up.
Did we do this one?
Ooh, that's neat.
You guys are,
You want to take a picture of that and put it on the Padlet? That'd be great.
The balance?
Yeah, it's really good for when you send out newsletter.
Look at your dad, man.
Ooh, somebody's going for the big potato. Nice.
Mr. Potato, that's what we got to play. What else are you gonna put on? Something else on there?
I was thinking.
Oh my goodness.
Pink scissors, pink. I want
What do you think would happen if we did this? What do you think the best?
Yeah, I've never used that app,
What do
but
you
yeah.
think? How should we put it?
Oh, I used it, yeah.
Go balance this way. We need a taller table.
Yeah.
There you go. See, look at the big potatoes.
Oh, the bagels are good. Balance of bagels.
So that kind of keeps all the weight. Yeah, there you go. Oh. Now you're playing a game. That's good.
Oh, it's good having one. Wow, I got potatoes all over the place.
Want to try me home for a couple of
Better.
They started turn my chair alive. It sounds
Oh, I think we have a big. Oh, look, we have potatoes flying all over the universe here.
I think the garden is like.
It must be hard to keep them all. That's interesting.
Big brother helps direct at home and helps play, takes Emily and Matthew for video and all the time.
Yeah, Scott, in the beginning, he did a really good job of understanding, of getting the concerns. So we had them stand with the first feet down, and say, okay, try with 1 foot, you know, and then try to raise your hand and to get more wobbly. And so he was kind of looking at center mass, but he did a really good job explaining that. Yeah, and then he's kind of getting it, I mean, he's intuitively, he just.
He loves science, so he's always like searching for things on YouTube and teaching himself.
Oh my gosh.
They're trying to teach you.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of practice with my son. Look at what my son did. Look at you did. It looks like a snowman with a lot of porcupine stuff on it.
You need it right now.
You know, we're pretty good. You want to try different configuration?
We've got a couple of people who are kind of taking it up a notch and adding some artistic flair to their sculptures. Feel free to do that. It's also fun just to play with different ways to make things balance out.
What's your sister? Emily? What's that dog? You know, since I've been out of pediatrics, I've lost track of all of them.
There's a Clifford or Biscuit.
Biscuit, okay, is that Biscuit or is that Bluey or? Yeah, the sharp end on the end.
Oh, it's Bluey. Bluey's on the glacier.
Where should we put another?
You have to be careful of those sharp points. You want another potato?
Yeah.
You know,
Put it back on.
I know.
Are you throwing your picture on Padlet?
I don't think I've ever had that.
Would you mind if I did?
We need another one. We need fingerless lizard. You want another potato?
Thank you. I'll put that on.
You do.
Here, me? Good question.
Let's try, what are we trying to do?
All right, we do have some pictures showing up on our Padlet. That's great. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Flip it over, see if it looks better.
Or potato kebabs.
Oh. You balance really well.
I always tell my dad, like, unless we have like a 3 hour. Oh,
Yeah.
So you're doing.
Now it's lunch. Can we make, what can we add to make all of your? Try to do that.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
I should have waited.
Right there. Well, we didn't fall over, that's for good.
Really? No, but.
Oh, dear, they keep doing that.
What do you think is gonna happen with it?
Well, having to
We're going down all.
Oh, yeah, no, it's.
I like that we've got some really long skewers sticking out of some of these. That's great.
Because I think that if I do start the balls, I could just have them in the cover.
All right, I originally said about 10 or 15 minutes. We've already way past 15, but it looks like still people are having some fun and experimenting. So let's keep going. Wow. It almost becomes a game, right? How high can we go up? How much more can we put on there?
No, this is Elena. Okay, make one YouTube. Ya está, amigo.
We don't have to.
No, it's just that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, of course it is. Thank you, Chris. Here's our Padlets. A lot of pictures going up on there.
The forces.
Maybe about 5 or 6 more minutes and we'll jump into our next activity. There's a lot more playing with balance that we have to do.
Okay, Mom.
I've seen lots of.
Oh, how is your back?
Can you imagine 3 hours of playing with potatoes and sticks?
I remember
Yeah, they work together. I need to maybe start. Because I kind of got those out of my.
Wow, good job. Now you can take those home and make a potato flop. Make a lot of money too.
French fry. It should be.
You said you take that kid away from his house.
Okay, about 5 more minutes.
Oh, no, you did it all. You were figuring stuff out. You taught me something.
And as always, when we move to our next activity, it doesn't mean we're done with this. You can always come back to this. The potatoes are yours to take home. If you want to take these home and
Oh, I can.
do some more experimenting, go to the store, buy some more potatoes. Don't do this with eggs. They're too expensive.
Okay, the two.
Nobody can afford that.
Oh, wow, that's little. That was good. Take a photo so I can put on the
Daddy, look what I made on my paper.
Wow.
It's not coming up and down. Wait.
Ooh, we got a dinosaur over on this one. Seen some flowers and some bumblebees.
Does it eat some of those?
Can I borrow your game? Yeah, and then
Ooh, got some people that are utilizing their craft sticks in there as well, and the clothespins.
What's up to you? I think Emily did.
Wow.
There it
Thank you for showing me Emily's here. Peter, can you make one for Emily?
Ooh, we got Jack balancing a potato on another balanced potato.
Calling it Olaf.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of, you've seen the people who do the balancing stone sculptures.
Oh, yeah.
It's like at a beach or something, and they're just piling rocks on each other and balancing them perfectly. I don't have that kind of patience, but it is really cool.
Oh no, that's on the edge. No.
You want some different?
All right, couple more minutes and then we'll move on. And again, feel free to add something to the Padlet. There's lots of pictures going up already. That's great. Especially our online friends, we'd love to see what you're doing there.
Yeah, or at least the butterflies.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe take about 30 seconds and maybe clear your space, set it aside. If you want to keep playing with the potatoes, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep moving on. Lots of different things to do today. So I'm going to move on. And so now we're going to move from our potatoes to do a very similar structure. And this one's a little bit more formalized, a little bit more open-ended, closed-ended. I'm going to set my pencil aside there. Let me get my camera all set up here. Okay, there we go. All right. in your packets or in your materials, you've got a little paper that says balancing butterfly.
Yeah, have you seen that?
And what we're going to make is
Okay.
something like this. Should come together pretty quickly, but this is really just a version of the potato sculptures. And so what we're going to do is, if you have a pair of scissors, I think, let's see, maybe just for the sake of time, I'm not going to decorate my butterfly yet. Let me just kind of demonstrate what we're doing.
Scissors, right?
And then we'll take some time if you want to decorate your butterfly. You can color them any way you want to. But we're just going to cut out the butterfly. And again, if you want to decorate first or color first, some people like coloring and then cutting. Some people like to cut and then color.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
I'm going to cut out our butterfly shape.
Yeah, the yes table size.
You haven't used the table saw.
And again, I'll just focus on the structure and let you decorate and color as you want.
Take off your.
Oh, there's other ones.
Simple.
I think in your table boxes, there's both big kid scissors and little kid scissors. So parents in the room, you can choose what's best for your kids. One thing that's kind of fun and maybe hopefully a takeaway from this is, as we experiment with balance and balancing forces today, maybe it helps you see the world a little different way. As you're out and about and look at buildings and look at structures, look at things that are balanced, maybe even ask yourself, how hard was it to balance that? Where is the center of mass on that thing? Why is it harder to ride a unicycle than a bicycle? Why is it really hard to ride a very tall unicycle rather than a short unicycle? Why do cars have 4 wheels instead of just 1? Why do we start kids on tricycles instead of bicycles? All has to do with balancing forces, center of mass, widening bases. All right, once you have your butterfly cut out, we're going to need one of these craft sticks. And I'm just going to turn my craft stick over on the back and tape the craft stick to the back of the butterfly. Did I say turn the craft stick over? Turn the butterfly over. I'm just going to tape the craft stick to the back of our butterfly. Just like that. All right, I'm going to reattach my pencil over here. That's my balancing point. A new piece of tape. Go. All right, now I'm just going to take a couple of these binder clips and I'm going to attach them to the tips of the wings of the butterfly. So just out here. And now if we put the butterfly onto the pencil, it balances. So even though that craft stick is sticking way out far in the back, kind of look what happens to the butterfly wings. They kind of fold down, which again lowers the center of mass. Now I think we can kind of stiffen up our butterfly wings a little bit. I'm going to kind of curve these a little bit upwards. They're not quite so droopy. There we go. And then you can decorate your butterfly any way you want. Here's one that our colleague Elin made. Way more colorful than mine. Kind of find that balancing point, but then it wobbles back and forth, but always seems to find its equilibrium. And if you really want to play around with this, there's nothing magic about the butterfly shape. You can kind of experiment a little bit with different shapes. Here's a star that Elin made. I need a binder clip on this guy. There we go. Boop. All right, so just experimenting with our butterflies. If you want to keep playing around with potatoes, And certainly do that. Put some color on your butterfly. Maybe try a different shape that's similar to the butterfly. You've probably even seen some different examples of these. Sometimes people make these, there's like birds where they balance on their beak. Yeah, where the wings go way out front and the tail goes way out in the back. There's kind of an old party trick where you take two forks and balance them on a toothpick on the edge of a glass. And it looks like they shouldn't balance, but they do. Like, I think I have one of those birds up at my desk, a balancing bird. Yeah, the paper's just to use however you want. Anything in the table supply boxes is free to use.
No,
Cut them up, color them up.
or keep
It's
very
all there for you to use.
start line is down here, and they have to move across the road to a finish line.
Okay.
And so obviously you've got a higher finish line.
Yeah.
They get more points.
They have to go, if they go out, they have.
Yeah, there's more points.
Oh, okay.
So, and there's no, you're not allowed to use anything.
See some very colorful butterflies showing up around the room.
It could be rubber band or spring power.
Yeah, but the only thing.
Can it have a motor?
It can have a motor.
Can it have electric?
Fluffy.
Yeah.
And they have the ability to put. Weights, the weights are there for what they want. Their weights, they're like the maximum limit to the how much weight. Faster weight and transport is the device that goes in. And so they can choose to do.
Hey, maybe there's even a way you could incorporate your butterfly into your potato sculpture.
It's difficult.
A 5.
Yeah, it certainly adds a level of dimension instead of a ramp. because
Yeah.
Yeah.
A rope.
Balance.
Yep. Yeah, you could use this with the center.
Yeah,
mass.
you could.
Hang it in there.
No problem.
Hey, did Daniel pick a school one?
Well, he's still getting them in, but he did get into his preferred. He.
Well, I took, yeah, for
Got
the first
into
time,
Cal
but
Poly.
I knew.
So,
And what's he want to study?
biotech.
Oh, that's right.
So he's got a cousin who's down there now, kind of where he wanted to go.
Yeah, that certainly, you know, entertain.
Yeah, he finally, got a little excited about it, so.
What are you gonna do now? What are you looking to do?
Last one?
I know, I
I
know.
think we'll take him down and then we'll go to Disneyland.
Yes, I think it was a Clark, they dropped their daughter off. And they go pick it up in the beat and running around.
The first one dropped off in Seattle.
Yeah, I think if it sticks, it's taped on, right?
Second one,
We need the binder clips.
only process it's in.
Yeah, but if I put them on here,
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna be just a couple hours.
Time to experiment.
Oh, to get standing in line and.
Tinker with it. See where the balance points are.
And we were
Yeah.
We're going to the coast.
Too far. That's the nice thing.
Yeah.
So how about if we say, let's just keep playing for about another, 10 or so minutes. If you need a restroom break, feel free, of course. There's still lots of bagels and snacks over there. And then just a reminder also, if you want to take a look at the questions for our Maker Studio board over there, we'd love to have some feedback for different activities or materials or things you're curious about.
You know, the thing.
It'd be great to have that. So maybe in about 10 or 12 minutes, we'll move on to our next one, next activity.
But I'm sure.
Keep putting some pictures on the Padlet.
I mean, she said when, certainly when she hits 65. I mean, she's only always a fan of P10 time. She never. 100%.
Oh, fly with potatoes.
But she says I hit 65. I'm there.
You know this, what?
Think that for me, it's.
Mine is this one.
Here, haven't moved. I've had 3 kids and 3 kids. So it's paid for itself.
You know, well, and then. You know,
Yeah.
I want fish.
And that we're very conscious of that too. We don't want to work so long. Yeah. I mean, sure, I am. I thought you were just. I was working.
You don't have.
Wow,
How does that work?
Better, well, everything's. I am more. I am. I did not contribute my share. That's all right. I mean, for me, it was great. You were just looking at that band. So here I'm playing on a Saturday morning where I would usually be grading.
Yeah.
I'd rather do.
School, I help out.
Hold on, I got it.
You know,
Got it?
Can you pass me that book?
Six.
Where's our
They also present. So I. Focused on things.
That was in your head.
Yeah, all of them had been for years. Inflammatory disorder. Polynesian
Population.
Yeah, and they're not about. You have to give me both.
Do you know why it doesn't fly?
Why doesn't this look?
This button is hard and that one.
You tell her scramble. You mean, what about the You know, they
We're switching back to their potato sculptures.
I grade them based on.
Got some people combining butterflies and potatoes.
But there's.
Ladies, I didn't know that I would be saying that.
No.
Butterflies and potatoes.
Yeah, you gotta.
Can I do that last night?
I know.
How much?
So it's here down in.
They're exactly. They're invincible.
It's true,
Right?
Yeah.
You know, that's what was fascinating to me. Go through their training. How It's not that they have that much weight that it's that you guys can recall. Training to be able to reach in there and sort of pull that
This is so cool. Innermost sequence.
I'm the connection.
in 15 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Preferably less.
I found some blue sticks.
The other.
Because I don't want to break this. Mom, that is from the water. That was
Oh, sometimes, my mom should be like, okay, she'll just give us a, she's asking about challenge. Open air skating. Yeah, we were just there, like each side had. Yeah, me and my partner sometimes. Maybe sometimes to stay, people just roll those. Our times, my mom would like give us some random
No, but.
things like, pain. Oh, it's like a random points. Yeah, and we would both have to come up with a story that would. For the construction is usually we just. You just have the ordinance challenge.
But you know what,
You're
like
going
if
to
you're,
get
you're going out, you know,
Yeah.
and you're just eliminating the order or for your food to
You're gonna
come.
be down there.
Okay, it's kind of looking like
Sugar pop.
people are kind of winding down on the butterflies and potatoes.
Is another
As
issue.
tall as
Maybe give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on to the next thing.
something like.
Or give me how many more minutes you need, 2 or 3, 5 more minutes? Couple more minutes? Okay, a couple more minutes, we'll move on.
But I also. That's the.
So as we're kind of transitioning, we're really going to switch gears here in just a moment. So you might want to just kind of clear your space. You don't need the pencil on the table edge anymore. Might want to deconstruct your potato sculpture or maybe just set it aside.
You tear the paper up, so it's very.
Especially now, just going through.
Okay, I'm familiar with this material, I know how it can be used.
And then I'm gonna take the big.
She enjoys it, she's all the different ways I can get the most out of it. Like.
Little,
Yeah.
That's a funny one, right?
All right, so everybody's kind of doing a little 10-second tidy up. So again, as we're kind of getting ready to switch gears, want to set your potatoes aside, set your butterfly aside. And then these are the next materials we're going to use. So in your bags, you've got a little baggie of dowels, and the dowels are kind of like giant Tinker Toys. They have a little slice in the end of them. There should be 6 dowels in your pack.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
And then there's some rubber, black rubber caps. And there should be 6 rubber bands, 2 red, 2 green, and 2 blue. We're going to need those out. You don't need the pencil on the edge of your table anymore. Now, for those of you in the room, some of our younger friends are probably going to need some help with this one. So we'll move kind of slowly. Give everybody a chance to keep caught up. And also, before we start, an apology to our online participants. We have made a mistake, and the black caps that got sent out to you are the wrong size. We caught that mistake after we mailed everything out. So you can actually take, online people only, not people in the room, you can actually take those black caps and kind of set them aside. You're not going to be able to use those. What you can do instead, when we put a cap on the end of our dowels, on the end of our sticks, you could take just a piece of tape and wrap it around and lock the rubber bands in. That would work. You folks in the room, we caught our mistake and we changed out all the caps, so yours are the right size. So again, we apologize for our online friends. We didn't catch that mistake until after things were shipped. So when we say put a cap, for people in the room, you can just hear, put a piece of tape around the end of your stick. All right, we ready to move on? So this next activity and the next couple of things we're going to do involves a unique architectural structure concept. And that concept is called tensegrity. Give me a little thumbs up if you've ever heard the phrase tensegrity before. Yeah, not very, yeah, Steve, that's about it. All right. So tensegrity is the combination of 2 words. The first word is tension, and the second word is integrity. So we're going to talk about tension integrity as we build kind of an architectural structure. And we're going to do that, and the tension kind of obviously is going to come from the rubber bands. So rubber bands are going to provide our tension, and they're going to be tensing against the ends of our wooden dowels. And the way tensegrity works is we're going to have some compression. So when architects build things, If you just take a bunch of blocks and stack them up, you're compressing things. That's the architectural idea, is compression. So for thousands and thousands of years, we just built things by compression, stacking stuff up, whether it's pyramids or even in the 1920s, as we built skyscrapers taller and taller, all we're doing is just stacking things up. Then somebody figured out, oh, we can use cables, and we can add in some structural things that way, and people invented suspension bridges. But really, it's kind of a combination of stacking things up. So like if you look at like the Golden Gate Bridge in California or the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, you've still got a stack of something. And then you've got a roadbed, and it's kind of been just held up by the cables, but it's still weighing down on the pillars. So it's really kind of a variation on stacking things up. Tensegrity is really different. Tensegrity takes that idea of compression, which is going to be our wooden dowels, but the wooden dowels are not going to touch each other. They're going to be completely separate, but they're going to be held together by the rubber bands. So this is kind of an architectural design idea that came about in the 50s and the 60s. And then somebody realized the most amazing tensegrity structure that there is us. We basically are tensegrity structures because we have bones that are our compression units. They're our wooden dowels, but they're all held together by a bunch of rubber bands that we call muscles and tendons. If you really think about it, our bones don't even touch each other. If you took away all of our muscles and our tendons, our bones would just collapse on the floor. Okay? So it's like a bunch of wooden dowels being held together by rubber bands. And so we're going to build a real basic tensegrity structure together. Okay, so I'm gonna try to be as clear as we can. We've specifically chosen these colors of rubber bands so that we can do some color coding and talk about them that way. So the first thing to do is take each rubber band and we're gonna slide it into the slot on the end of a dowel. And then stretch it down to the other end and slide it in the other slot. And so basically I've wrapped a rubber band around the dowel, and there's a piece of the rubber band on each side of the dowel. Okay, now I didn't mention a color that time because we're going to take our 6 rubber bands and do that on each of our 6 wooden dowels. Now be careful, it's kind of easy to accidentally shoot a rubber band across the room. Or a dowel, right, yeah, we can accidentally shoot a dowel across the room, that's all right. Maybe we should have put safety glasses in our bags. While we're doing this, I'll say that one organization that's using a lot of tensegrity ideas is NASA. You'll see when we're done with these that tensegrity structures, especially ones that are built with elastic bands, can be collapsed and then re-expanded pretty easily, which is really useful if you're trying to load something up really small into a spacecraft like a radio antenna or some kind of solar sail, and then you want it to unpack out in outer space, they're using tensegrity to do that. Oh, I kind of got that one twisted up a little bit. All right, so when we're done, we should have, we'll just say there's 2 red sticks, 2 green sticks, and 2 blue sticks. Rubber bands just wrap around so that there's half of a rubber band on each side of the stick. Now don't put any caps on yet. Okay, just gonna check around, make sure that everybody's got their dowels. Don't want to move forward until everybody's got that.
Yeah, if you're going down.
Yeah, but family we're also going to charge them.
Good, good, good. We got them all done.
You're not going.
Super.
Oh, no, this Lorena wants.
All right, I'll also throw a little math language in here. And just to let you know that we are going to be doing, this is going to be a 3-dimensional object that we're building. And since our dowels are very linear, they're just really a straight line. If we talk about linear graphing, we talk about an x-axis and a y-axis, right? Horizontal and vertical. But when we go 3-dimensional, we need a 3rd axis, right? So we need a z-axis, an x, a y, and a z. So if you don't understand that, don't worry about it. But if you're working with older kids at all, and you're talking about graphing, throw in that language, absolutely. Okay, it looks like everybody's ready to move on. So here we go. Let's start with red. Okay. So let's take our 2 red sticks and just set them a little ways apart. Now the next thing we're going to do, take a green stick, a green dowel, and just lay it across the reds. So we're kind of making a giant letter H.
There's a street.
Okay, now what we're going to do, since this is laying right in the middle of our red sticks, we're going to take that red rubber band and slide it into the end of the green stick, green dowel. Now, here's a little rule we're going to follow. And I'll show this a little closer in the camera. In the end of this dowel, we now have 2 colors, right? We have red and green. And the rule we're going to follow is anytime we have 2 colors in the end of the dowel, we're going to put a cap on it. And that's going to help lock that in so that later on when we're kind of stretching these out a little bit, they don't pop out and shoot across the room. And again, if you're working at home, your caps aren't, they're way too big. You got 5/8 instead of 3/8. And so your caps aren't going to be much use to you. So just put a little piece of tape around there. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other end. We're going to slide the middle of our red rubber band into the end of the green dowel. And now we have 2 colors. 2 colors means put a cap on it.
Good job.
Yeah, it's like a giant letter H, huh? Or you could go I. So you can say hi. Oh, all right, sorry. Bad dad joke. Okay, so kind of going back to our mathy idea. So this green stick right now represents an x-axis going horizontally, and our two red sticks represent a y-axis going vertically. Now, if you did that like I did, my green dowel is sitting on top of the red dowels. And on the underside, there's still a rubber band, a red rubber band that doesn't have anything attached to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this H, I'm going to flip it over. So now the green dowel is underneath. And I have two unattached red rubber bands on top. So I'm going to take my second green dowel and put it on top and do the same thing again. So I'm going to attach the red rubber band into the end of the green dowel. And so I've kind of made a little sandwich there. So the green dowels now are on either side of the red dowels. And I've got two colors, so I'm going to put a cap on it. So a cap on each end. So I've still got the letter H, but the green dowels are now pinching or sandwiching the red dowels. Okay, has everybody got that? Anybody need more time with that? Okay. Now here's where the real magic weird stuff happens. Now we're going to bring in the blue dowels. Okay. Now I'm not sure how well this is going to translate on the camera. So if the green is our x-axis and the red is our y-axis, the blue is going to be our z-axis this way. That's our third dimension. Okay. And maybe even before we attach the blue dowels, maybe we could even just show that if you take the two green dowels and you pull them apart and stretch them up, everybody do that, kind of just stretch them apart. Now to keep those apart, we need those blue dowels. Otherwise, it's going to keep pushing back together. So one easy way I found to do this is take the bottom green dowel, and so maybe just a little preview also. So the way the green dowels are sandwiching the red dowels, the blue dowels are going to sandwich the green dowels. So when we're done with this next step, we should have a blue dowel on each side of the green dowels. Okay, so I'm going to put green inside of blue right in the middle. And then I'm going to stretch that same side. I'm going to stretch it up and put the other green rubber band inside of the end of the blue dowel. And now look, I've got two colors. That means put a cap on it on both ends. Anytime you've got two colors, put a cap. And if you do that on one side of the green dowels, now do it on the other side of the green dowels.
Did that hurt you?
Stretch those out there. Now I've got those two colors, so I'm going to put a cap. Put a cap here. All right, so now we've got this kind of weird looking structure. If I can get this fully on the camera, it doesn't stay up on its own, does it?
Yes.
How about that? No, that's not working. That's as good as we can get. Trying to get as much of that on the camera as I can. So for those in the room, should look like this. Everybody got that? Pretty close? So our green dowels are sandwiched inside of our blue dowels. Okay, one last step. We're out of dowels. We're out of rubber band colors. But let's think about combinations. So we have three colors. We've got red, blue, and green. Over here, we've got red and green together. Up here, we've got blue and green together. There's one more color combination that can go together. What would it be? We've got red and green, blue and green. What's our last color combination? Red and blue. Perfect. So let's just make that happen. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue rubber band in the middle, and I'm going to stretch it out to the end of this red dowel. Now it kind of pulls it sideways, so right away, I'm going to do the same on the other end of the red dowel. So make all the reds and blues go together. And there's my two colors, so I'm going to put a cap on it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the blue dowels. Red and blue go together. Red and blue go together. And there we go. That is our tensegrity structure. Now you can experiment a little bit with kind of sliding the rubber bands back and forth. Maybe loosen the cap just a little bit. It works best if the rubber bands are right in the middle, or the dowels are right in the middle of the rubber bands. There we go. God, yeah, you got it. Good, 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 good. There we go.
Picture this is a detail.
Just like that. Perfect. Why are they uneven? That's where you can kind of just maybe lift the cap up a little bit, slide them back and forth, get them evened up a little bit. It's hard to get it really perfect.
Oh, dice.
Oh, no, it is.
So I find it kind of fascinating to just look at this structure a little bit, and you can see you've got 6 dowels going in 3 different directions. You've got horizontal, vertical, and then 3-dimensional up and down. And it's a stable structure. We are balancing the forces. The tension of the rubber bands is pulling against the compression of the dowels, but none of the dowels are actually touching each other. But it's perfectly stable. It's perfectly balanced. And then here's the cool thing, and some people are already doing this. You can totally squash this thing and let go, and it pops right back into shape. And if your caps are on nice and tight, you can actually just grab this thing and wad it up, bundle it up into a bunch of sticks and let go, and it pops back into shape. So that's why NASA has been using this. Think about something they want to unfold out in outer space, but they have to get it into a space capsule first to get it up there. So they're building tensegrity structures that fit into a rocket. And then when they get out into space and they need to deploy it, they just unpack it, unleash it, and the tension pops it into shape. And now you've got a radio antenna or a space antenna. Yeah. Oh, we got a broken rubber band. I'm sure we can find you another rubber band somewhere. Here you go. What color is it? Green.
Please, can you try to scoop it?
There you go. I can't untangle them. Find the one you need in there. There you go.
Whatever.
See.
Mhm.
I think we have some.
No, they would build it, collapse it. Yeah. And it might not be exactly like this. It might be a disc shape. It might be an arm that pops out.
Because right.
Maybe he'll help me fix this.
So that's because
Yeah,
Labs and then trust.
absolutely. Yeah.
wanting the latest.
Even a lot of camping tents are now built with this kind of idea. Instead of like attaching poles and hanging everything on the poles, now it's tensegrity that you can almost shake them and they pop up into shape. Yeah,
This one.
they're a lot lighter, a lot cheaper.
You would be very happy if we get a Android.
What's that? Way easier to put up, right? And does this go into this one or does this go into the other one?
You would, that if I had an Android.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to actually
Think I got it.
need it though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hotspot.
You wanna see?
Having 5G at home by itself.
I watched an interesting video this week, and there was a doctor who was talking about tensegrity and the way our bodies work.
I think the bag helps us.
And what he was saying was, a lot of people will come in and they'll say, my back hurts over here.
Next to yourself.
And then the doctor says, well, that means we need to look over here.
Your charge is
Why are we looking over here when my back hurts over here? Well, it's because the problem's actually over here, but it's pulling on this one over here. And that's why the pain is here, but the problem is actually over here. So again, our bodies are so full of tensegrity concepts.
Turtle shell. It looks like a turtle
Just amazing how much they jiggle and move around, but they stay in shape. Now mine gotten a little flattened out, but I think if I just do some adjusting of the rubber bands,
What other?
okay, cool, because my phone didn't charge.
and slide a little bit and even out again.
Charge for the.
Diamond, very good.
There's two that has. Oh, and it needs to be the red.
Hey,
So there are
there, how can we find?
currently a lot of buildings now are being built with this concept. Sometimes Sometimes I've seen these in airports. For some reason, airports are big, huge open spaces. And you can see the beams and they're just held together with cables. And if you look really closely, the beams aren't really even touching each other. The cables are holding the beams together. There's been some bridges that have been built with tensegrity, and they look really weird because you just got all these weird solid beams pointing on all these different directions. And it doesn't look like it should hold together, but the cables are holding everything together.
Does this remind you of something?
Mom, what
This toy at home?
Oh, there's some extra rubber bands right there. I've got some more up here. There's not anything magic about the colors. We just color coded just to make the instructions easier.
The red one? In the middle.
And yes, when you go today, you are absolutely welcome to take these with you.
I wonder.
When you smushed it down, it's like less.
I haven't experimented enough yet to know how, but I know that there are ways that you can actually combine some of these structures together and build a tower. You could build a whole tensegrity tower. I haven't explored enough yet on how to do that, but that would be really fun to figure out. Uh-huh. Oh, a cylinder out of tensegrity. Nice.
Stories high.
Whoa. We need one out here.
Did you have fun?
Look at this. So this is NASA.
It looks like. This was like, yes, that one's on that.
Okay, in just a couple of minutes, Aileen is going to show us one more activity that is also balancing forces. It's also tensegrity, and it's going to be the Lego part. So Aileen, whenever you're ready.
Stump over there.
Oh, do you? Yeah, you can just bring it over here. Perfect.
I don't know if they're using remote control or.
Is he having fun doing the DI stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Now you have to put the, connect the last.
Oh, okay. Super Slum team is, how old is
Yeah,
yours?
the intersection first one.
Oh. They listen to
I think they work together pretty well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is.
How many people are at?
Because
The combination of intersections.
Yeah. They converted the kindergarten. Competitive sort of, yeah. It's impressive, you know.
Very independent. He's always sharing
Intersections.
I know that. But it's like how many zeros?
This.
He told me before.
Because it's
Oh, that's right.
Let's see.
Okay, if you guys want to find your paper that says tensegrity floating brick structure and a bag, your little bag of Legos, that's the two things you'll need.
We'll see what we can do.
They tell me. Mama.
That's someone else's seat. This way, baby. This is.
Mom, can I have apples?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you know.
All right, so if you'll check into your bags and your Lego bags, you should have the bricks that are under this items needed. So you should have a plate, which I believe is like a beige color plate. And then you should have some bricks and smaller plates to build. Now, you can probably look at the picture and build the actual brick piece with the Legos, but the tricky part is kind of the string. So that's where we're gonna go step by step. But I'll go ahead and start showing you up here the structure we're going to make.
Yes.
So much like what we just made with Scott, where there's lots of tension happening with the rubber bands, we're going to create something that's a lot more simple and has to do with these two pieces here. And the three strings that are holding right here are what's sort of keeping it balanced. So it almost looks like this structure is just floating at the top. But if you touch it, it's pretty stable, like the things we built on top of the pencil, where we can touch it and it still finds its balance there, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and start with your brick plate at the bottom here. And you're gonna build almost the two structures separately, and then we're gonna use a string to put it together. So we have one that's going on the bottom. That's sort of like a tower, I think. Okay, 7. So you're gonna stack 7 of these just square bricks. So we'll stack 7. So you should have a nice little tower of 7. So if you see here with my green one, you have your tower and then you need something that like stretches out, sort of like a neck. And that's where we're going to use the 2 plates. So 2 of these gray plates And we are gonna just slide them off of each other so that they're longer but still stable. So just connecting 4 of the little studs there and then put it at the top of your tower. That. And then we're gonna use these gray ones that have the little hole, the little Technic bricks, and we're gonna put 2 of those at the end
I think you should.
of that neck. That's gonna help us hold that string into place. I think I put it out too long. Maybe just put it 3 over. Then when you put that on your plate, probably in the center over to the side a little bit, you're gonna put 2 of these Technic bricks with the holes at the bottom on the side, so it sort of looks like that. So these 2 at the side, and then these 2 at the top.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, so then we're going to take the rest of these black bricks and make another tower with all the ones you have left. I think there's 9, but we'll see how, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I had to stay up for years because I didn't have one.
So then we're gonna take 2 of the dark gray plates and offset them again. And we're gonna put that at the bottom of the tower. And then these 2 light grays with the holes just right next to each other at the end, right into that space that's offset.
I can't do that.
It's okay. You can build it.
And then we're gonna take the rest of our smaller plates. We have 3 small plates, a long one, and then just these 2 with the holes left. So we're going to just offset those as we build out. We want to build another neck.
What she said to do. Daddy, I cannot be back into that.
And then at the end, right in the middle, we want to put our black plate. Make sort of a T. And then these with the holes will go underneath at both ends on the long black plate.
I am sorry, but I am washing on your shirt.
So the one shape or structure we just built is the piece that's gonna sort of hang in the air. And it will essentially look like this when it's at its side.
This one.
So we need to tie a string that goes between these 2 holes. And then one that goes from the top all the way to the bottom, anchors at the bottom. Okay, so this is where maybe the children will need help because tying the strings is a little bit tricky sometimes. We have to get the right length. And once you get the right length, it'll balance. But so this length in the center, I'm holding this right now. This length in the center is sort of fixed. So we're going to sort of do that one first.
Oh my God.
So if you want to lie your structure down, I think you have a piece of string that's all one length right now. I actually cut it in half because you want it a little bit longer because it's hard to tie if it's really short. That's what I think. So you want to cut your string into 3 pieces. You know that the middle one's going to be a lot smaller. So if you can eye that, that's fine. I have some extra up here if you need extra string. But just take one of those pieces and we're going to tie it. You can see there's about maybe 1.5 inches between the 2 center pieces.
I made a big old piece of
Oh, I see.
You want to knot that one. And I usually leave like all my string kind of floppy, like extra, leave the extra and don't cut it until you're all done, in case you need to go back and change the length. But if you just regularly knot that one's fine. Sort of like that. Mine's a little longer.
My mic's off, it's on.
So you want to try.
We're gonna shut it, so push everybody to team.
We're gonna tie this right
No, we're not children.
Recently? That's a good question.
10 years ago. Oh, 10 years ago, Chris said.
10 years ago.
I'm sure they incorporated the wood into the machine.
Oh, yeah, roughly 14. Now they're gonna shut her Skype, push everybody there.
Which will basically make everybody go to Zoom.
They bought Skype so that they could use the harvest technology.
Yeah, they just gutted it.
Yeah.
No teams. And way into Zoom. President Unified uses it, but they don't like it. They don't use it. Right. There's some kind of security.
So the knot that I tie on the sides is a little bit different. It's going to be a sliding knot because I need to kind of tinker with that length to get it just right. So when you tie the knot on these two, you're going to wrap one string around and then tie the knot so that this other one can slide around here. So what I do is I wrap one around and then tie it here. So it's a sliding knot that I can move.
Basically, square.
Square.
So you can tie it really loose because it doesn't matter. When we stand it up, we can move that knot where we need it to go. You want me to tie the knot again?
Yeah, I looked at it too, and I was like, oh, well, didn't look difficult.
So I have one string here and then I just wrap this one around and then tie just this one, just one of the strings to itself.
Sure, say. Ascending. Oh, I thought.
Like that. And by doing that, I can move this knot up and down.
Do that.
And that's the knot you're gonna tie to both sides of these sides. And again, there's some string up here that's already cut if you need some extra. And if it's hard to reach your bricks, you can always pull your brick off, tie it, and then put the brick back on to the top. Because the bricks with the holes, you can just move them around if you need to.
It would be.
Oh, yeah, right here. I'll put the rest.
So using, insert the robot with this.
The arms.
Link that on Slack. I mean, on have you seen the?
Well, I have.
Someone pull the string and it wraps around and. Yeah.
So when you stand it up, then you could just move the knot. Oh, I put the string right here. And slide it to where you need it to go. Go ahead and do your other string. Is this sliding? The extra string, yeah, that's good. Instead of doing that kind of a knot, just wrap this one around. And then we just the one. Can you hold this right for me? So now the. Okay, so now you do the same thing with this side. It might be a little too big. I mean, we can still, it's still gonna hover, but it's not very far from the bottom. If you want it up more than just tie the knot. Are you guys doing okay?
With two extra.
I don't think I was.
We need to.
How many do you need?
Maybe two.
Ready for yours?
That works. Cool. Okay, so now we want to. Want to help me? Did you go through these boards?
Mommy, look at mine.
Oh my goodness, what a cool.
Talking about the pool. I mean, I'm not on you. For the computer,
We're seeing lots of the structures start exploding. Oh, I like what you did. You tied it here. Once you got
Yeah, that's when they are. So it's.
One.
Usually that would be disasters. As long as
Sometimes you have to tinker with it, but that's like the perfect height.
Thanks.
So these have to be equal and they have to be in a certain proportion to the middle one for it to like float. Yeah.
I have a feeling like
Did you get, oh, we need to do the middle. You want to do the middle? But you can do the middle. That would be short. Yeah. So I want to cut this like right here.
From the end of the table.
Mama,
There's right at the end of the this table, right now.
I'm happy to put this.
Oh, okay. It's there's no more, yeah, that's okay.
It's just.
Like, this one's just short.
Yeah, and it's all balance.
You know what? There's some more in there.
And that could just be a regular knot.
Good, but then it's thrown off.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that was the problem. That's what she said. And how it impacts down, there's always something.
Go to Indiana.
I think I'm
No. You know, it goes far. And I put mine.
In the bottom.
I don't want my name on it. But nothing's supposed to be on the bottom. No, look at it.
So then,
Oh, it's fine. Mama, I called to be quiet. That means, yeah, I fixed it up.
well, we want to just tie the knot so that it slides.
I'll stick them in before now. And I've been building. Oh, yeah. You got it.
So what we do is we hold one stable and then we just wrap the other one around it and put the knot in. That way I could slide this knot up and down. And then when I see it's tight, so then I.
See right here, not me here. Hold it.
Based on that. Yeah, it has a 360.
Hold it. Hold it. I got it. I got it.
It makes me just your step.
Mhm.
You're in the right.
Trying to figure out if that's, there are things on there I'd like to buy. I have stayed away.
It's trying to say like loose. There's perfect egg. Egg. One more. The other end.
Giving you a big old.
I'm sorry, like you tie your shoelaces. Hold on. Let go.
And that's real in the scan.
Or ice. There, okay? Get the muscle. There. Okay. She's 20 years. She's leave.
Well, there you go.
One, two.
And be like, that I hadn't seen before. Turned it into her. Sure.
Good job.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you just have to like ask him for a bit. Okay. You want something like this? Like it's a lot of cooking. Yeah. Yep. If you want some vegetables. Mama, can you help me take this out? Mama, can you help me take this out? Yeah. I'm gonna help you build a something. Mama said, what's here to help? This is Gianna's. Yeah, we need to. I'm just gonna copy this.
So it's just.
Through all that, building those gears.
Yay.
It's harder than I thought.
Yeah, it's a lot of tinkering, isn't it?
I'll get time better now.
Well,
You got
That's why I let Aileen lead this part. That's right. I like potatoes. I was thinking of potatoes.
It's unstable, and then there's that one window there where it's
She.
an island of stability.
She has to touch the mark with the foam, so the marker resonated was left on her fingers.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a bed. Be floating.
Yeah, I think I've seen one actually.
Really?
Yeah. But if you just, if you wobble too much. you can fall.
Yeah, I know.
I was gonna call it opposite. You end up like- You're just looking at Amazon, there's lights and tables and chairs and all kinds of stuff. You get at.
Yeah.
I already told Paul that we're gonna build it in segregated. At least 10 tables for the makerspace.
Yes.
With our newly found equipment.
Absolutely.
See the part. And you got- It's the first thing we'll do with our TNC. It's like a big makerspace. We'll find out. I'm looking forward to finding out if it's too much fun.
Permits, this coming Saturday.
I'm gonna be out of town.
Okay, okay.
So I'll be there, but I'm gonna be-
But then.
Oh, no.
Maybe there too.
Not till the 14th. I'm gone. Twice now that we've maxed out. First time since the third year we've done this. So
Oh, yeah.
just perfect timing.
Yeah.
Now we're at the makerspace.
So they should know how to breathe.
So those in the room, if you wanted to come up to the table, if you haven't yet, there are some very similar tensegrity 3D models, paper models that use the same kind of structure
We're just talking.
to just be creative and look at it different ways. I think there's been like tables made with this kind of design.
Yeah, if you actually go on, just do a tensegrity table search and like, there's just all kinds of things that people are doing with these coffee tables, end tables. Steve and I were just looking on Amazon. There's a little desktop lamp. It's LED lights, but it's basically this structure that's just floating.
The question is, how do you come up with a math, a math for building?
Just that.
I know, isn't that crazy? Yeah,
So yeah, this is like a paper one. with
Yeah,
just
it's
some-
beautiful.
Like a hole puncher and the string again.
That's one thing.
And so you can see it's the same kind of design as the Lego one that we just built. Cover.
Perfect tension.
Yeah, it's like the proportion. There. Cover.
I think that is.
So yeah, get us.
See how many.
so here's our Padlet again. If you didn't see it, our friend in the back, Linda, just showed me this video. This is from NASA.
Yeah.
So this is what I was talking about, NASA using this idea of the dowel and the rubber band idea.
So the initial inspiration was
Oh. So NASA actually designed this robot that now, so that's exactly what we built. It's just 6 dowels and rubber bands in between, but they figure out a way to mechanically expand and contract the rubber bands. So they're making that structure move like a robot. And they're great. Thank you, Linda, for sharing that with us.
Motors and cables and stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Now, I don't know what good that does. It can't carry anything. Well, at least not yet.
They can navigate
Yeah.
any terrain, right?
But look at that. It's just expanding and contracting the tension. And then think about how they're going to transport that. It doesn't have to be that big when they transport it. It can be all bundled up together.
This is how I'm gonna be like Sassy. No, that's mine. This is how it's gonna. This is.
That's pretty fascinating. So you guys just built one of those, just a little less complex.
Yeah. You like the statue? See? Statue there, see? Yeah, and then we'll show
Steve was showing me who makes you people walk. We used to do the bigger. You just go to the questions up. And then you have to switch the.
So pressurized.
Real cheap, real easy.
So I will call your attention one more time to our Maker Studio feedback poster over on the side. You want to just throw some ideas on there for us, things you like to make. Maybe you will even pick your brain and share some ideas, and maybe you could lead a session or help us lead a session in the Maker Studio of things that you know how to make that we don't know how to make. We all want to just learn together. Maybe something you want to learn how to make. We are going to have, in that Maker Studio, we're going to have 3D printers. We're going to have a laser cutter. In the wood shop, we're going to have what's called a CNC cutting machine. We've got other woodworking tools coming in. We're going to have sewing machines. So those are things that sound like are interesting. Like, I've always wanted to know how to do that. Maybe come write a little Post-it note, stick it on the board.
We do a lot.
What materials and tools are you curious about? Maybe stick a note on there. We'd love your feedback.
And on how to use it. Maybe a little.
And again, if you could share any ideas or pictures or things you've done this morning, things you're excited about, even just some impressions or reflections, if you want to put those on the Padlet. They don't have to be pictures. You could write a comment.
But once you are trained and checked out.
Any feedback you have for us, you can certainly put on the Padlet.
And the laser cutter upstairs. In a really expensive laser cutter. So
And we have one more play shop this year on April the 5th.
Who's that?
Steve and Aileen are going to lead us through some things called tessellations. So if you want to learn all about tessellations, or if you don't even have a clue what they are, or maybe you've been playing with tessellations for a long time, we'd love to have you join us.
Oh, so you don't.
So you can always go just to aimcenter.org, the play shops link, and register there.
But we're smoking air, smoking material. And
Thank you, Aileen, for leading us through that last tensegrity piece. That was fun. Those are all the activities we have. You are certainly welcome to stay and play. Our online folks, thanks for joining us today. I'd love to have your feedback on the Padlet as well. Also love to have you join us for our next play shop if you can. We'll be here for a little while longer. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
And again, anything that was in your bags is yours to take. So potatoes, tensegrity structures, Legos, those are all for you.
Accuracy is good. Yeah, accuracy is pretty good. It doesn't have the power to.
Yeah, so
Technically. It's like that. Yeah, that's exactly.